what's happening with the tech industry and the layoffs in Austin and around the nation. A lot of people have been wondering about this because it can affect our local economy. Tech layoffs in Austin obviously affect employment and people that are moving to Austin. We did this interview 2 weeks ago with my friend Kevin Nothnagel, and since then there's been a couple more developments. We had Facebook announce they're going to lay off about 11,000 people globally, as well as SVB Bank, which we don't cover in this interview, but it's worth mentioning that SVB Bank has to be bailed out by the government regulators. Now, SVB Bank is going to primarily impact VC-backed startups. So I don't see that as being a big issue for larger corporations that are employed in Austin, but maybe some of the smaller ones. So we'll touch on that later, but in this interview, what we're going to look at is how is the local tech market being impacted right now? What does this mean when layoffs? Watch this video and let me know what you think in the comment section below. All right, we're here with my friend Kevin Nothnagel.
Yep.
And we're going to talk about a few things today. So we're gonna make a little bit of a loop here. But Kevin works for Clockwise, and
Yep.
you're the vice president
Of sales, yeah.
of sales. Okay, yeah. So and we're going to talk about Clockwise. Clockwise is a calendar app with automation. Okay, we're going to talk about real estate technology. We're going to talk about the technology sector in Austin. And here's where Kevin's expertise come in is, he has worked in the tech industry for a long time, right?
2006.
Okay. And then who all did you work for?
I started at Google. So my career started at Google in 2006 and just kind of answering the phones. I went to Dropbox next. That's what took me to Austin originally. So that was a great opportunity. And then moved out to Silicon Valley for a little while, even for some companies there, Facebook, where we first met.
Yeah.
And a company called Product Board, and now Clockwise.
Yeah.
As I've evolved my tech career. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got to tell a couple stories here about when we met. So I was a pretty early adopter of Workplace by Facebook, and the first time they met was when they sent the video crew out.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
We, Ryan, I think you've always been somebody who adopts technology first, maybe second, I don't know, but it seems like you know about everything before everybody else does. And so we sensed that from you. How we got connected, I think, was just because you were such a passionate user of our product.
Yeah.
And we thought you'd be great on film too. So we brought a whole production crew out. I was just reflecting. I think it was like a $50,000 shoot or something crazy like that.
Well, and they told me that they were going to send someone. I thought like two people from Facebook. No, they had a crew fly in from LA. They rented a truck with all the boom mics, and we did it was a whole day. I think like 2 days of shooting or a day and a half of shooting.
Yep.
And then, so what was your title then?
I was responsible for growth kind of generally in our smaller business segments. So it's a product that could be used by any industry, but for some reason, real estate seemed to be a very popular use case for a communication channel that was two-way like Facebook was offering. Yeah. And thought you'd be a really good spokesperson for the brand. And so we picked you, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was a really fun day.
So Kevin and I would go to the Inman. A couple times. We did. I later on. I got on the customer advisory board.
Yep.
And so we went to what do you call it? San Francisco, Palo Alto, and New York, and then here.
Yep.
And so we went with you to all the Facebook things there. And what was so interesting about, first of all, we realized we probably bad influences on each other.
Lifelong friends immediately.
That's right.
That way,
yeah, we had a lot of fun. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But I really got to see the tech world because I remember we went in New York. We went to the happy hour at Dropbox.
Yeah, on the roof. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, but they catered it every day, right? Mm-hmm. Or not every day, every Friday.
Every day, though, too.
Oh, that's right. The bartender.
There's a secret speakeasy. Do you remember that? You have to hold the hand of the door handle and pull it open.
Yeah, yeah.
What a world.
And then that was in New York. And then a bartender every Friday.
Yeah, bartender every Friday.
It's crazy. And then here, we went to the Dropbox here, and they had a recording studio.
Yeah, that's right.
And like we went on a Friday night, and the employees just went in there and like had a jam session. They were really good.
Yep.
So I found it was just really interesting. That was my first kind of look in the tech world, and I was like, Facebook was not quite like that, right?
Yeah. I think there were more families working there, people with kids that they had to get home to. So certain companies I've been at have been a little more of that sort of youth culture and a lot of play. And there's a lot of hard work though too. It's like a lot of that gets the exposure, I think.
Yeah.
Like even in the media, when you see tech companies, there's old footage of me interviewed at Google where they told me to play with a ball, and I'm like, I don't do that every day. I mean, you want me to do this for the camera, I'll do it. But it's interesting to see that sort of dynamic change too, because I think it is changing now that we're more or less in a tech recession, you could argue. And we're also working from home, so none of that really exists anymore, right? It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about, well, first of all, it's just found it because we kind of lost touch for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
And then I get a call from some guy who's my wife met someone at the condo that we have.
Right.
And he was his agent was in a deal with one of my agents, and he called me, and my wife said he was a nice guy. And I said, we talked about tech. It's like I used to be the customer advisory board at Workplace by Facebook. He said, oh, my boss used to work there. And I said, who's your boss? Kevin. It's like, no way. So
the world's really small.
It really is. Yeah. So, all right, let's talk about real estate technology, or not real estate technology, but how technology plays its part in the real estate world, and really in every world. A lot of stuff going on right now. ChatGPT.
GPT-3, all the rage right now is ChatGPT-3 and all these large language models that
is 3 out? No, is 3's out and they're waiting on 4?
4 is in a few months is what they're saying.
Wow,
so they're teasing us with that.
Yeah, that goes to 2020. So for people that don't know, 3, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, has read everything on the internet until 2021.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Which, and so I'm sure everyone knows what it is, but it's a bot that will write things for you. It will source information in seconds. So I wrote 30 emails last Monday, emails for a newsletter introducing, and I would say, write an email introducing a blog for an article. A blog about the top 5 restaurants in South Austin or something like that. And boom, spits it out.
Wow.
So what else are you seeing in from your experience from technology and how it relates to automation, real estate, all that?
Yeah, I feel like you were really early on those trends too. Like you would tell me about how you're using Zapier and all these cool ways that I didn't even get 4 years ago. And I'm in the industry, right? So I think it's really cool to see this evolution, because I've always been somebody who wants to kick my feet up on my desk and do what I'm good at as a human.
Yeah.
Like talking to people. Like I enjoy that. I don't necessarily want to do the dirty work of writing 30 prospecting emails, right?
Yeah.
Like if technology can help me do more of those chores day to day, I'm going to get into it. So, our VP of engineering even did a little test writing our board letter to our most seasoned investors as to how we did in the last quarter on our engineering team. So it was pretty cool. I mean, he didn't use it with our board, but it was neat to see that, technology can write a board letter for you. But in general, I just think that there's a new kind of acceleration happening right now in technology when it already felt fast. Like it felt like everything was changing overnight all the time in the tech world. Now that's happening even faster because of these technologies. Like the idea that you can communicate with a machine now and have a relationship with it is really kind of intense and amazing and powerful to think of all the use cases that you can have for something like that. And it's going to spread to every industry. Every vendor that I work with from a sales perspective that sells to me is emailing me to say they're introducing AI into their technology. It's crazy. And, we're like, oh, cool. Yeah, we do technology and automation for your calendar. So we've been on this ride too. And it's really been cool to see customers gravitate towards this type of way of working now.
Right. Because when you look at it, and I'll give you an example. And this is just seconds leads to minutes, leads to hours.
Yeah.
Right. So I as an example, I have this email template that I use all the time, and I have not changed my marketing director's name on it because I just have not gone in there. Okay. and he's been with me for over a year, right? And I keep saying, okay, I'm going to go into admin, template, right? Well, but like if I would spend the 3 minutes doing that, so I go in and I erase his name and put rate the other one's name, put in there. But when you send that email 30 times a year and you do that, I mean, so that's the power of automation. Those things add up so quickly, right?
Yep.
So, what other use cases are you seeing for chat, GBD or automation or anything like that?
Every vendor right now at like Y Combinator, which is the incubator of so many of the hottest companies that have come up over the years. Think of Airbnb and Dropbox.
Yeah.
They all hit me up because they're in sort of the same networks that I'm in. They're all doing email writing assistance. They're helping you to prospect better.
Yeah.
You've been in sales and real estate for long enough to know how to teach people how to do it, but you also see people come up through that journey of learning to write a good sales email, right?
Yeah.
And it's not easy.
Yeah.
Like it requires you reaching the right person with the right message at the right time.
That's right.
With as few words as possible.
Yeah.
And everybody always says, well, I would have written less if I had more time, right? So the idea that technology can even aid me in the hardest parts of my job as a seller in real estate or in technology is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so I'm talking to all those companies and I'm seeing what they got. I want to know how they're tackling these new problems.
Yeah, so because copywriting is an art.
Yeah.
Right. So what we've done with when I have taken the time, and it's been a lot of that, is we use a GPT to actually so ChatGPT has been kind of off, right? It's like it's the servers are.
I think it had a bad day.
Yeah, a bad month, all right?
Yeah.
And so I've been using Jasper.ai.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I know some of the team here. They're local.
Yeah. And so I like do an email with that, in the ninth grade level, right?
Uh-huh.
Because most copyright they say sixth grade level. I go to ninth, and then I'll bring it to Grammarly, not Grammarly, the Hemingway app. Have you heard of that?
No, I haven't used that one. No.
Yeah, so the Hemingway app will make sure that everything's not run on sentences and it's really easy to read. That happens quick, and that's been really good for. But like, it will kind of get it done for you, And the other uses is for like SEO. And content writing. Mm-hmm. So how do you think this is going to affect people in the content writing space? I mean, if you look at SEO, and I know you had some experience with Google, you were with the AdWords, right?
I was with AdWords. Yeah, I actually sold to real estate industry back then. So Zillow was a customer, Realtor.com.
Yeah.
I had some big names in the space that I was working with. Yeah.
How do you think it's going to impact that industry?
That's a good question, because one of the ways I could see it going down is, like you mentioned, restaurant guides. Mm-hmm. I've seen some people say, I need a travel itinerary booked for the next 3 days going to San Francisco, and it'll lay out your exact itinerary.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know, like you can imagine somebody needing to schedule some tours for a buyer.
Yeah.
And saying, all right, I need to hit up 5 properties that meet these criteria, and it sort of lays out a pathway for them.
Oh, wow.
Wouldn't that be pretty cool? Like,
so
baking in the time you need between distances, like,
well, not
cool.
just that, but like scouring the that hasn't even we're not even have that yet.
Let's go build it.
Yeah, right. So where it like scans MLS for the criteria that's not so common, and what I'm sure real estate agents are watching this and saying, okay, well, I can look at that by bed, bath, whatever.
Yeah.
But you can also do keywords and just build your wish list of properties. So that's a great idea. Want to switch gears to the tech industry in Austin.
Yeah.
And obviously it's impacted by the entire nation. Okay. We're seeing the last few months we've seen Amazon, Facebook, Google, pretty much everybody but Apple laid off, right?
Yeah.
What's your take on that? What have you seen?
Yeah, I don't love it, right? I think it's a boom and bust business historically, right? Like if you get into technology business, you're kind of accepting some amount of risk, that your career could be sidetracked temporarily. And, my heart goes out to everybody impacted by the layoffs, because, it's just hard on you. It's hard on your families.
Yeah.
Your sense of identity comes with your job a lot of times. So I hate to see it, first and foremost. And, I want to kind of get back to growth. I love the good times, right? The bad times are when we learn, though, right? I think we're all learning in this business that you can't get ahead of yourself. You can't think that the world is going to always continue the way it was based on how it is today.
Yeah.
And I think that was the planning error that most companies made. And it was an easy one to make because you got to plan ahead to grow.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you're not going to grow. So I think what we're seeing is just a quick pullback in that's led to companies saying, oh, those projections I had for 2024, 2025, I really don't need all those people anymore. So I got to pivot.
Well, so I heard an interesting comment when the first round of layoffs came from Amazon. And that was, okay, we have, I don't think it was like 12, 15,000 layoffs in Amazon. And the guy says, the media, you guys, it was on an interview. He's like, you guys just pounce on everything. You like to say, Amazon 12,000. Why don't you put that in context with in 2022, they hired 500,000, right? And
that's so many people.
I mean, it's so many people, right? And he said, I'd rather see tech companies lay off now because that means these people are going to be able to get jobs, sooner, right? So it's like, and I mentioned that when you said it's a quick pullback. So is that kind of the trend in tech?
A lot of people are finding jobs very quickly again because there's still so many companies that are growing and hiring. Like I imagine OpenAI, the company that makes GPT-3, is hiring quite a bit right now, given their popularity and the Microsoft investment they got.
Right.
So I'd say, what I think will happen is this will be a temporary lull, as any recession is in our industry, and hopefully it doesn't bleed out to the larger economy because the job growth in the U.S. is still fine.
Yeah.
And I hope that continues to allow the people that are impacted temporarily by this to just quickly bounce back. And everybody that I know that's been laid off usually finds a gig within 3-4 months, usually when their severance runs out. But I also have friends that have severance through to next April because of the generous perks and benefits of some of these companies. And it sounds kind of nice to have free paycheck till next April, although it is, again, hard.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think the companies are doing it best to take care of people, in other words. And where they can. Some companies are going to go out of business, though, too. And,
that's right.
This is how recessions work. And ultimately, I think even those people will bounce back. A lot of people will become founders of new companies working on cool technology. Yeah. An idea they always had that they just never executed on because they were comfortable in their job. Now it's time. Go take that risk. So I'm excited to see some of that innovation grow out of this, too.
Yeah, that's true. And, that kind of reminds me of like a lot of these VC-backed, companies that maybe made some bad bets, right?
Yeah.
There was a couple mortgage companies that, and of course, in real estate, every real estate company says, I'm a tech company, right? And you're not, well, like you were real tech. And then when it comes to Austin and your headquarters is in San Francisco, right?
San Francisco, yeah.
Okay.
We have people all over. We've got two employees here in Austin and others in Texas, and I've got a team in Nevada and Pittsburgh and New York and Berkeley, California, Sacramento, California. So kind of people everywhere.
What do you see? Do you still see migration here for companies? Okay.
I do, yeah. Honestly, when I was first hiring here, when I was with Dropbox, it was a secret weapon to be hiring in Austin.
Yeah.
You would put up a job listing and you'd get all these super talented people moving here that you wouldn't otherwise meet in another city.
Yeah.
Because their boyfriend or their husband or their wife was taking an MBA program at Texas and they didn't have a job.
Yeah.
So then you'd get these super talented people migrating here, and then suddenly you were talking to them and suddenly they were hired.
Yeah.
And I've hired in other cities too, in like San Francisco in particular, totally the opposite. Just bloodbath of competition to hire the best people there.
Wow.
So I always felt really lucky hiring here because of that talent migration that's been happening. 70 years of it here in Austin.
Yeah.
And I don't see that changing anytime soon.
Are you hearing? Well, so like I remember when Facebook announced they pre-leased 600,000 square feet of
600,000. Wow,
it's crazy.
That's a lot.
I think it's like 598,000. But anyway, and they recently announced that they're going to be subleasing some of that. Are you seeing companies pulling back, moving from Austin, and more companies coming here? I mean, I don't know. It's like the headlines are so confusing right now, in pretty much every sense. It's like, we've got inflation, we've got record unemployment. It's like, boom. What is your sense of the technology industries? Like the industry's moving here. Is it still ongoing?
Yeah, I don't pretend to be able to predict the future.
Yeah.
I wish I could. I mean, I'd be a lot richer. But I think the interesting thing to me is those companies that are cutting square footage, for example, that's going to continue to impact the commercial real estate business quite significantly. When I was last in San Francisco a few weeks ago, everybody had 10,000 feet available in this kind of prime business district.
Wow.
And that wasn't the case before. You were fighting over real estate too. So just like the talent battles, there was real estate battles going on out there. And here, a lot of new buildings even went up, right, to support the growth. But yeah, I think ultimately what we're probably seeing too is a little bit of a changing of the guard, I would say. These big companies that got really, really big, there's always been a historical precedent to that, whether it's Sun Microsystems and HP or IBM over time. IBM's probably the most resilient tech company over time. They were over 100 years old. So many companies, though, they crest and they sort of die out. So I almost wonder if some of the bigger names in the space aren't ripe for some disruption. And what's going to happen is all these new young companies will come in, start to hire the best talent from those companies and kind of just begin again a new spring of tech growth here. And I was even out to a happy hour a few weeks ago with a bunch of founders here that are just crushing it. Their growth rates are faster than anybody else's. Jasper AI, you mentioned, locally hiring here in Austin, their growth rate to their revenue figure currently, which I don't know if I'm allowed to share because I found out about it through just maybe some press, I don't know, but their growth rate to where they're at today is unlike any company in the past. So again, everything's just getting faster. Everything is accelerating, your revenue growth rates, the hiring you need to do, but I think it also decelerates a little faster too if you don't hit the mark.
Yeah, no, that is a really interesting statement, changing of the guard, and I love that. Let's talk about Clockwise. So
Clockwise.
How long have you been with them?
It's been a year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah, I came on in August of, what would that be, 2021?
Yeah. Okay, and what, for people that don't know, explain soup to nuts, what is Clockwise?
Yeah, it's a great question and probably my favorite topic, so thanks for asking. Clockwise, what we do is we help manage your calendar using AI and automation. So there's a lot that you probably have gotten used to over the years of managing on your calendar by hand, whether it is you're color coding your meetings so it's easy to see what you're doing when, or you're trying to block off large blocks of time because you practice time blocking, like our favorite son here in Austin, Elon Musk. He does time blocking as one of his major productivity techniques, so we'll help you automate that. And we can even move around meetings for you to an extent. Like if you and I have a one-on-one meeting and you're my boss, and the meeting is better on Tuesday at 3 than it is Tuesday at 5, we'll flex that to kind of make everything more optimized on your calendar and then on your team's calendar.
Cool.
Yeah.
And is it for, is it like minimum teams?
You can use it if you're an individual and get some personal value, like whether that's like scheduling your routine. Like I want to go to the gym every day, but maybe not at a set time. I wanted to move around my work meetings. Or I even want to have lunch at a certain time every day, but like within 2-hour window where it can move a little bit and just hold time for me to actually eat. There's a lot of personal benefit, but companies that use us, like we have some really big deployments, even with like Austin companies like Atlassian, they have a big office here and they're global users of Clockwise. So we scale all the way up to like global enterprise accounts too.
Okay. And how are you like a competitor for Calendly?
Calendly is a great company to me because they've grown incredibly fast. And they took the chore out of like going back and forth to find a time. When I was at Facebook, I actually measured how many times we had to email each other back and forth between my team and our clients to schedule time. And it was like 5% of our emails.
Wow.
When you think of the volume of sales emails that go out for a particular team, 5% savings is a lot of productivity back. So I rolled out Calendly, I think, to myself even like 2018. We're in that space as well of external scheduling. We do it a little differently. We like to find the best time to meet, not just any time to meet. So we would help you if you gave us all your preferences on like when you work, when you like to meet, whether that's in the morning or at night. We would open those preferences up to the person booking too, so that the meeting ends up at a time that's very great for you. As well as just showing all the available times too and making that whole scheduling experience easier. But we're adding a layer of like intelligence onto the external scheduling experience.
Gotcha. Awesome. Well, what's in the future for Clockwise and for you?
Well, the future is bright. I think we've been growing really fast. It's fun to be at a VC-backed startup. We've got great investors, great customers, and a great team. So I love working there every day. I think what we got to continue to do, though, is just build more automation and AI onto the calendar experience because there's just so much left to do there. I think one thing that we're doing next that's going to be really cool is the idea of like looking 3 weeks or so in advance on your calendar and telling you what problems are ahead and saying, hey, do you want want to fix this meeting conflict you have in 2 weeks on a Thursday.
Yeah.
And you can move this meeting here, and it'll move these other 2 meetings for your other 2 team members. And it's like this sort of 3D chess version of scheduling internally for your teams that, I don't know, just like works like the best administrative assistant in the world. That'll be a really cool piece of technology we're releasing in the next few months. And a bunch of other fun stuff planned.
Do you have, it seems like it'd be interesting to have like a chat.
Yeah.
Do you have that?
We're talking about it. Yeah.
Or even like scheduling with Alexa or something, Yeah. I'm a big fan. So one thing about the chat, at Jasper.ai and ChatGPT is being able to say, do something, like book something for me next Tuesday at 12 and make sure I don't have anything on my calendar.
Yeah. You can imagine us doing that really easily.
Yeah.
We're thinking about that a lot right now.
Okay. Well, do I get any credit for that?
You will, yeah.
Okay.
I'll make sure your face should be on the feature, I think.
Okay, great.
When the feature releases, we'll put a little Ryan mini emoji there.
Awesome. All right. Well, Kevin, thanks so much, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Sure.
And thanks for letting me talk about Clockwise.
Absolutely.
Yeah.